It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. We talk all things Sorare, I make weekly videos, and today there's a question. Do I have the best contender Sorare goalkeeper? Do I have the best goalkeeper in the contender division? That's why I'm wearing a goalkeeper shirt today in honor of today's question. So let me know in the comments if you think if there's a better goalkeeper out there. I'll show you who that goalkeeper is. If this is the first time you've seen my videos, I'll show you who that goalkeeper is in a little bit, very shortly. Don't worry, it's coming up. In the meantime, Sorare Champions League's back. We had the Champions League back this midweek, and one of the lessons I've kind of learned is to next season prepare better for European midweeks, because I don't think I should be rushing out and buying a Champions League squad right now, or Europa League or Conference League, whatever it is. I just think for next season, because when in the summer before this European season, I was kind of buying cards that were good value, cards that I thought could be better in the Premier League, especially this season. So I bought a lot of Chelsea, West Ham cards, underperforming teams that I thought could do better this year. But I didn't consider European football. So I don't have a goalkeeper who plays in Europe, for example. So these midweeks are very quiet for me. I do think that's the way I should have done it. And that kind of European side to my gallery should be something I do next season, because it would have been too expensive this season with the money I kind of set myself to play with. I wouldn't have been able to make as many lineups on the weekends if I'd have focused, oh, what about Champions League? Oh, I might need a Manchester City goalkeeper or a Liverpool goalkeeper, something like that. So I think I did it right, but it is just teaching me how important those quiet midweeks are. And I don't mind missing out on midweeks at the moment. I've been on Sorare for under a year, so I don't mind missing out on midweeks because the weekends are exciting enough for me. But if we're thinking long term in Sorare, next season I might need to think about European teams midweek breaks, even if it's just a goalkeeper. But that's my Sorare thought for today. So we're going to start this video, as we always do, by looking at how I did last weekend in the wonderful world of Sorare. Right then, this is how I did last weekend in what was September the 20th to the 24th. And the eagle-eyed amongst you may have spotted in that little transition scene that my Sorare Club logo has changed. We've officially changed our Sorare Club logo because my hairstyle has changed. I've taken away the hair bun at the back, so that's been taken away off the logo, and a little mustache has been added on. Little detail. Didn't want it to go unnoted, but there you go. So last weekend was a good weekend for me in Sorare. I won a card, not the most exciting card, and like five boxes, which I think all had essence. So my essence is at 90 now. I am saving up for 100 so I can get a tier 3 card, or a tier 3 box reward opening thing, whatever it is. I know it does make sense to go more for the tier 5 opening cards and kind of save your points. I have seen people online talking a lot about the maths and the odds, how it's actually better to get tier 5 essence, like lots of these tier 5s. But I just think it's more exciting, especially my first one, to go for something a little bit higher, a tier 3, because the odds are that I could get something a little bit better with a tier 3, whereas tier 5 might make sense financially, but I want to gamble a little bit with my first one. So I'm 10 away from the tier 3. Hopefully I can get that this weekend coming up. But I'm enjoying it. It does make, the essence is great. It does make those lineups where you don't win a card, it does make them feel a lot better. So let's take a look at how I did last weekend. So the Kylian Mbappe fantasy competition, I beat the 400 mark, even though Courtois tried to ruin my day by getting an own goal and a 19 score. Really annoying he did that. If he didn't do that, I could have got a better prize. But as it was, I got a raffle ticket to meet Kylian. So get ready, Kylian. I'm coming. And then all the other boys did well. Liverpool and Real Madrid both won, as I expected. Both nice wins. So some great scores out there. Shame Courtois didn't do better, but we got past 400, so that was the main thing. Then there were some special competitions where not much happened apart from Ramiro Sordo at Santos is finally, I bought him ages ago saying he was going to be the new Messi, the new Brunetta for Santos. He's finally delivering good scores. 62, 68, let's not talk about that. 77 in his last game. So have Santos finally replaced Brunetta? Have they got a good player here? He comes from the same team as Messi. I think he's going to be good. I've liked what I've seen of him. Ramiro Sordo is putting a good score. Brian is putting up big scores for Necaxa again, which is good for me as a Necaxa stack holder. And Cucurella, my best Chelsea defender, also a good score from him. So across these kind of semi-serious lineups, there were some good card news for future lineups. Then we go to the Premier League, if it will load. There we go. So, Premier League, I won a box from this one, which was I was saying in last week's video that I was going to stagger my lineups a little bit, and instead of putting all the Chelsea cards in just one lineup like I have been in the past, spreading them out, especially because Chelsea are bringing on a lot of substitutes who are doing well. But this is the team that did well. So it had 3 Chelsea cards here, and it had 3 Chelsea cards in this lineup. The one that did better was this one. So maybe it was a good job that I split them up, because I may not have put all of these together, or I may have put a defender like Fofana instead of Robertson, and then that would have brought the score down and maybe not won me as good of a box. So I think it does work. I don't like the idea of full stacking. That's something I've learned this season. I just think it's so hard to get the defender and 3 attacking players all get good scores in the same game. Better to do this. 3 Chelsea players, a goalkeeper that has a good fixture, and a defender from another team that has a really good fixture. So I think this is how I'm going to go forward. Generally, have maybe 3 cards from Chelsea and West Ham, and then 2 cards from other teams. So Jackson, a really good card. Jackson looks like he's really confident now. There are no other strikers at Chelsea. They could play Nkunku up front, but Nkunku seems to be being played in the Cups and the European competitions, and Jackson seems to be the main Premier League guy. So very excited about Jackson. Robertson's back in the Liverpool team after being dropped in the Champions League. That was good to see. Ramsdale having a good score at Southampton. I think Ramsdale could be a really good card for me this year. Even if Southampton don't keep clean sheets, he's really involved in play, makes loads of saves. So that's good. Madueke, Fernandez, okay scores from them. If Madueke had maybe been instead of Sancho, I'm really excited about Sancho. Sancho's put 2 good weeks together now. I think Jackson, Sancho, and Enzo are probably Chelsea's 3 best Sorare cards. And then you mix them with 2 other players. Probably not the defense, because Chelsea's defense isn't fully solid yet. But maybe if Cucurella, maybe if I have more faith in Cucurella, we could get started. So this one won me a reward in the Premier League. In this league, I was let down by Nick Pope, Fofana. Dwight McNeil didn't have the best game. I did think Leicester away could have been a good game for Everton, but nothing yet. Cole Palmer doing what he always does, delivering. And Sancho, another assist from Sancho. 2 games for Chelsea, 2 assists. Exciting times. And then my third lineup, it was exciting to see Dominic Solanke back in, getting his first goal for Tottenham. Hopefully now, Solanke hits the ground running. First goal, that's the kind of, the shackles are off. So let's see how Solanke does. That could be another great card for me this year. West Ham. 3 West Ham cards in this lineup, all letting me down. I am a little bit worried about West Ham, but I do think it's kind of win-win for me, because West Ham have such a good squad now. If the manager doesn't settle in, he'll be fired, and they'll get a new manager in, and maybe he'll do better. So West Ham might be a bit of a longer-term reward strategy than I planned. Chelsea seem to be doing well, so that plan has kind of rewarded, but the West Ham kind of gamble isn't quite paying off. However, still a lot of games to go, still a lot of the season left. Maybe West Ham can get things going. Then I had 2 champion lineups, because I've got extra goalkeepers in the Premier League now. I've got Sam Johnston at Wolves, who gave me a horrible score, and Kepa, who's at Bournemouth, who didn't give me the best score, but it was Liverpool away. So I've got 2 champion lineups now I can play. And Conor Gallagher is the most exciting player from here. Conor Gallagher scoring again for Atletico Madrid. 130 points from captain Conor Gallagher. He's going to be a great champion midfielder card. I think he's going to suit Simeone, suit Atletico Madrid really well. So I'm really excited to see what this season has in store for Conor Gallagher. Think he could be back in the England team. Yeah, exciting. And he helps with my Chelsea bonuses as well. So great card for me to have. Not much exciting players elsewhere. Yeah, not much to report there. Challenger, Nesley keeps scoring, so he's a great option for Challenger or under 23 striker. Same with Stukas, under 23 midfielder. And then okay scores from these 2, and then Bilal in goal. Contender, my favorite division. Contender, because I get to play my Mexican cards. This lineup got me a tier 4 card and a box. Kastenmeier. This is the goalkeeper. I'm saying Kastenmeier. Is he the best contender goalkeeper around? This season, he's given 91. These scores 78, 85. Just consistently good scores. This was last season. This was this season. So far, consistently good scores. An L5 of 74. And I mean, I bought him for £8.68. I bought him for £8.68. He's currently being sold for £21, £23. So he's currently being sold way more than I paid for him. So, is he the best contender goalkeeper? I think he might be. If he's not, and there's a better one who's cheaper, do I sell Castellano while I can make a nice profit and buy a cheaper one? That's the thing I'm also thinking about. But he gave me a great score. So did the Burgos striker, Sanchez. Midfielder, Sanchez, even though he got a goal, 62 points from him. If that was higher, if only that was higher, we could have won a better card. Vergara, my boy playing in Colombia, an amazing score from him. Captained him. This guy, go get him. What are you waiting for? Go get him. He's selling for about £2.50. And these are his scores. Look at his scores. I bought him for 49p, just purely to help with my Santos collection. I never thought of playing him. Now he moved to Colombia and he's like playing for an amazing team, scoring 1, 2, 3 goals this year. Amazing. So that's a lineup that if I just take out the defender, Nathan Silva, and put Piovi was suspended this weekend, but if I put Piovi in this lineup going forward, that is a really strong 5 lineup of contender cards. So I'm really excited about playing this all season, these contender guys. Then I've got the Necaxa stack of 3, which didn't do so well. They drew, so bad news there. Vasquez, who's been doing really well for Monterrey lately, they somehow drew 0-0 against Mazatlan, who are like second to bottom in the table. Not quite sure what happened there, but hopefully it's a one-off. And then Jeremy Marquez at Atlas, okay score from him. Santos won. My Mexican team, Santos won 2-0. I was very surprised. I probably should have put more of their cards out. I only played one Santos player, the goalkeeper. If I'd have gone for the defender, if I'd have played Sordo, who was here. Where was Sordo? Ramiro Sordo here with an 83. If I'd have put some of the Santos boys together, so bad me for not going with my team. But we did get promoted. We did win an Essence box from this lineup. Under 23s, we got relegated because everyone didn't deliver except for Duran, who once again is looking really good. John Duran, if he's on the bench, it doesn't matter. He comes off the bench and scores. If he starts, he does okay and scores. So these are very good scores for someone as young as him. So he's going to have a really exciting future. And I've got his card. I'm going to ride his career all the way. And then these guys let me down. So that was how I did last weekend. The card that I won is not very exciting. No offense to Lee Seung-woo, but you're not the most exciting player. He did put a good score 2 games ago. He did give an 87, but generally his scores aren't great. And he didn't play the last game, 90 minutes. He played 28 minutes last game. The game before that, he played 20 minutes. So I don't even think he's a starter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him 1 week. I'm not going to put him in any lineups, but he did give an 87. If he gives another good score this weekend, at least I might be able to sell him for more, because at the moment he's worth about 50p, so I can't really get much for him. But if he gives 1 more good week, maybe a few people think he's a bargain and buy him, who are playing more seriously in the Korean league, because I don't have any other cards in that division. I don't really want to get involved in that league because it's just too much research. So yeah, he won't be long. And then the 2 cards that I've bought since last week are Fulkrung at West Ham. I'm doubling down on West Ham. I'm like, maybe when Fulkrung is back in the team, he is fit now. He hasn't played the last 2 games, but I read a press conference yesterday which said he's fit. He's ready to be brought back into the team. So maybe he can change West Ham's future. It's not like he's got any competition with Danny Ings and Antonio. So when Fulcrum's fully fit, he should be in that West Ham starting team. £2.60 I thought was a nice cheap price to get him at. And then the other one was Osama Idrissi, who plays for Pachuca. And if we look at his form, I got him a little bit cheaper because he's had this dip in form, but last season he was really good. Last season, these were the scores he was delivering last season. So I'm hoping he's had a slow start to the season here. Was this the start of the season? This might have been the start of the season. So he's had a slow start to the season, but in his last game, he gave an 85. He has given an 81, and I bought him for quite cheap. I bought him for £1.80. So I'm happy to take a little risk on him because of last season. I did see him a few times last season, and his price was like £20. Very expensive last season, and I thought, when he's cheaper, I'll get him. He's cheap now for me. So these are the two cards I bought. I'm not going to be doing too much more buying in the coming weeks. I don't plan on adding much to my bank balance now, so there shouldn't be much more activity from me. So that's how I did last weekend. Let's now take a look at my lineups for the coming weekend. Okay, these are my lineups for game week 13, which is September the 27th to the 1st. There is an animated and holo edition competition, which I will not be entering because I do not have any of those cards. Maybe next year, maybe next season. In the Premier League, also, Sorare do have these new percentage chance of starting, which I really like. It's not fully accurate yet. I did notice last week there was a few players that had these greys that were wrong. There's a few players that have 0%, even though they are expected to play. So you do have to do a bit of research when you see a 0. I will research all of the 0s I have just to make sure why they're not playing, and if they are, I'll replace them. But I did set these lineups before the percentage calculators appeared, so I'm going to investigate those. But my thinking for the lineups is Chelsea. I'm going to go heavy on Chelsea this week because my other cards, they don't really have good fixtures. The way things have lined up, I was saying I don't like going fully Chelsea. I like going maybe 3 and then 2 from other teams, but the fixtures just weren't great. West Ham especially are playing Brentford away, which I didn't like. My Spurs are playing Manchester United away. A lot of away fixtures for my teams. So the one home team, the one informed team is Chelsea. They are at Brighton, which should be tricky, but I'm going to back my boys and go for 4 Chelsea cards and Kepa, who has a Chelsea shirt, which is nice. Kepa's playing Southampton at home, so I think that might be the best of my goalkeepers this week, with Cucurella, Palmer, Sancho, and Jackson. I think possibly I swap Sancho from Enzo, maybe. I just think Sancho has a higher ceiling than Enzo. Enzo's quite more consistent, but Sancho, on his day and in the form he's in, should start. I don't know why he's a grey here. I'll investigate that, but that can maybe be Enzo. We'll see. Then I'm going to be hoping that Dwight McNeil has a better week this week. I'm going to captain him against Crystal Palace at home. I'm going to match him with 2 more Chelsea players, Andy Robertson and Nick Pope. Nick Pope is usually my best goalkeeper card, but they're playing Manchester City this week, so he's been relegated to the second best team. And then we've got Bournemouth, no, not Bournemouth, Spurs Solanke. Away at Manchester United, which is a little tricky, but Manchester United don't have the tightest defence, not in the best of form, are coming off a disappointing result in Europe, and Solanke has got his goal-scoring boots on now, so hopefully he can come big. Bowen and Kudos at West Ham. I'm just waiting for West Ham seasons to start, so whenever it does, I'll be ready with my lineup. So if it does, Bowen and Kudos are ready. Ramsdale and Munoz are the other 2 cards. Then I've got 2 champion lineups with some Chelsea players like Fofana, who I didn't fit into my other team. Raul Jimenez. I bought Raul Jimenez in the summer because I read an interview saying he really wants to play in the Mexico World Cup when they have the US, Canada, and Mexico all sharing the World Cup in 2 years. He really wants to play in that, so he will do whatever it takes in his career to make sure he's playing for that World Cup. With that in mind, I bought him, even though he wasn't a Fulham regular. The season started, he was on the bench. I did hope he'd leave. He never left. Still at Fulham. Now he's back in the first team because Muniz has started the season slow. Jimenez has scored 2 in 2. Can he get 3 in 3? That's why I've captained him. So Jimenez could be a nice little pickup for me. Got him for very cheap in the summer. Zakaria, Monaco, and Gallagher, my two former Chelsea boys playing in Europe. Let's see how they do. I've also put my West Ham goalkeeper in this lineup just because I've got very little faith in West Ham at the moment. So they've been relegated to the champion lineups, which I don't take as seriously as the Premier League lineups. And then I've got Sam Johnstone again, Liverpool. Tricky game for Wolves. Wolves are in terrible form. So even though I've got a playing Premier League goalkeeper in Sam Johnstone, he ain't great. He's not giving good scores. Tarkovsky at Everton, Nkunku. I'm not expecting Nkunku to start, but maybe he comes off the bench. He did just get a hat trick in the Carabao Cup, whatever it's called now. So he is in confidence, but I do think Jackson should be back in the team, even though he scored his hat trick. But maybe he starts in a different position, or Jackson doesn't play. If that happens, I'll play him. More likely, he comes off the bench and scores with the form he's in, and that'll still be a good score from me. Ward-Prowse and Elliot Anderson, my two Nottingham Forest boys, putting them together because Nottingham Forest are in good form, have started the season really excitingly. I think they're like 8th in the league, Nottingham Forest. So hoping that Ward-Prowse and Elliot Anderson can continue to be a big part of their success. Then we go to Challenger, where it's Bilal, who got a 0 last weekend. Hopefully anything better than that, please. Atuesta, Montez, and Jimenez, all 0% to start. I'm going to need to investigate all of these. And then Sami Udu, my boy from Necaxa, playing in Turkey. I'm not captaining because they are playing Fenerbahce, which should be a tricky fixture for them. But even in trickier fixtures, I think he's given good scores in harder games before. Against Besiktas, he got an 86. So his best score this season has come against probably his hardest fixture. So he should still be able to deliver. Then we go into Contender, where I'm playing my Necaxa 5 Necaxa cards, because they are playing Querétaro, who are either bottom of the league or second to bottom of the league. So a really good fixture for Necaxa. They need to get back to winning ways. So going to be putting them together. I'll have a little investigate as to what's wrong with Alan Montez. Maybe I'll put in my other Necaxa defender if Montez is out. Then I've got my second Contender lineup, which is the lineup I was telling you before. Piovi's a 0%, maybe because he was suspended last week. I'll have a look at why, because it was a one-game suspension, so he should be back in the team now. I do think some of these percentages aren't right. I do think so. Sorare's still working the algorithms out, because I've had 0% last week that I played, so I'll investigate all of that. But I'll be going for the Burgos boys, captaining Sancris, Vergara. Look at this. I just feel confident in all 5 of those cards. And then I'm going to be trusting Santos a little bit more. Santos are playing Lyon, so I'm going to be playing 3 Santos cards. The goalkeeper, Echeverria, who scored last week, a young left back, really exciting player, this guy. Sorado, the new Brunetta at Santos, maybe the new Messi. Calm down, Amreezy. And then I'm going to be playing Vasquez from Monterrey and Alvarez, who's playing Mazatlan. A nice, easy fixture for them. And then my last lineup is my under-23 lineup, where it'll be John Duran and Nesli, 2 great scoring strikers. Stukas as captain, my only goalkeeper, and Ravic, who has got a good fixture and has also been in great form lately, Christian Ravic. Some great scores so far. So, those are my lineups this weekend, people. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support shown in the past. Let me know what your thoughts are. Good luck with your game weeks, and I'll see you next week. Peace.